Watching movies can take a while, and they often go out of style. But there's Megan and Ben to tell you what to watch with a smile. So I married a cinephile.
Hi guys, I'm Ben Farmer and I'm a cinephile.
I'm Megan Carver and I'm a cine newbie. We watch all kinds of movies, new and old.
And we let you know if you should watch them too. Welcome back to a brand new season of So I Married a Cinephile.
Season 5.
Season 5.
Coming alive.
Can you believe it?
Do the hand jive.
Like, we should be dead by now. By like statistically.
Wait, what?
We shouldn't have survived past season 4.
Oh, you mean the podcast?
You know,
not
yeah,
we as
sure,
individuals. I'm like, is this like
and COVID is
Final
scary.
Destination? Like what? Final Destination?
The
for
fact
podcasts?
that we're here is a miracle. That's
every
all
day.
I'm saying.
Every day.
Every day,
what was it you
folks.
said the other day? You're like, every day we are just a whisper away from death.
I mean,
and it's like, that's horrifying.
Let's be honest.
That's scary, but it's true.
Eat a bag of peanuts, you're rolling the dice. I'm just saying.
Get the donuts while you can, folks.
Exactly. Get them.
Baked goods are hot.
Maple bars are $6.99 a dozen down the street. So.
Are they really?
Yes, they are.
Oh my God.
I
At any
recognize.
rate, we're as per usual getting all over the place like gerbils trying to do a puzzle.
It's trying to corral gerbils doing a puzzle. That's
Ben,
what this podcast is.
So there's a lot of new stuff with season 5.
A lot going on.
And I would love to just talk a little bit more about how you're doing, thinking about this season. Like, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are how excited I am about all of the guests we have lined up, the movies we're going to watch. We're thinking outside the box. We stay in the 80s for like 3 of them, but then we get kind of musical heavy. But then we're also getting back into rom-coms. Like, we're all over the place.
We
but
are all over the place.
in the best way. But
truly,
again, I think what I'm most excited about is, number one, our guests. We have such a great lineup of people coming on the pod.
So many guests.
And secondly, I don't know about you, but I'm excited about our producer.
I know. Hey, I heard her sing in my head, I want to be a producer. And I was like, Molly McCarthy, would you be our producer? And she said, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we would love to introduce for the first time our amazing producer, Molly McCarthy. Hi, Molly.
Hi. Hello. I'm not a host, but I'm here too. It's going to be my catchphrase for
Let's
this
do it.
season.
Let's use it.
I'm excited to be here. It has been a long time since I got to work with Megan, but we went to college together. We lived together. We've done theater together. And the pandemic shut all of that cool stuff that we used to do down. And she said, hey, Molly, come help us produce season 5. And I went, hell yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah. So I'm excited to be here. I also have seen no movies. But I'm a sucker for the behind the scenes stuff. So that's kind of the flavor I'm going to hopefully be able to impart and bring to this podcast to just kind of like
you do
rejudge season 5 a little bit. There's a lot of new stuff.
Insider info. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you could be like, did you know? Like, even if you haven't seen the movie, you've got all this information from watching all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes. I have been known to watch like docuseries or like the makings of movies and then being like, okay, I'll watch it.
After the fact.
So then it's like all these different things that you watch. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to watch it, but I still have all this information about the movie.
Yeah. I like to learn how things are done. And I come from this, I'm a stage manager. So you have to know how everything is done behind the scenes as a stage manager, I feel like. So I'm just constantly adding to my arsenal. And I just like to know random trivia. Hopefully someday I'll like win $1 million for the most random things I've ever
I would so love
known.
That's what I'm banking on. I just have like the plethora of IMDb knowledge in my head. So it makes for good party conversation.
Right.
But other than that,
you're just waiting for like IMDb Jeopardy to become a thing. And then you're like, get me in that room.
Get me in the room.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I'm a combination of Megan and Ben in that I haven't seen anything, but I still know everything about it.
Right.
That's exactly
I love
right.
it.
So
that's exactly right.
It's a great way to describe it. Well, we're so lucky
I'm here.
to have you. So thanks for being here and for keeping us focused and on point and on task. So
and I would have to say too, along with being excited about Molly, I'm also excited about all of our Patreon stuff. Which, dear listeners, if you were not aware, although I would be surprised if you weren't aware because I've put it all over our social media.
Shocking.
We have a Patreon account. So what is Patreon? Patreon is basically a place, I feel like that's my first basically of this
there's
season.
One.
I'm bringing it in hot on the first episode.
I'm just going to get a piece of chalk and just start marking the wall every time you say it.
Yeah. I mean, the wall will be black in a couple of months, if that. But essentially, fancy word for basically, what it is, it's an opportunity for you to be able to support us as we make this podcast a reality. So that means that you pay like $1, $2, $3, $5, $20. What? There's lots of options in order to get bonus content. By doing that, you then support us and all the amazing people like Molly, James Sheringhausen, Tom McGovern, Michaela Klimavods. You support all of them who help make our podcast a reality.
Correct.
Especially nowadays with everything going on in the pandemic, it's more important than ever to support artists. There are a lot of artists involved in our show. Specifically, we try to work with people that are of minorities, women, LGBTQAI+, etc. So know that you're supporting a really good podcast because we're really good people and the most humble people you will ever meet in your life.
It's true.
So go to patreon.com/SIMAC podcast to get early access, bonus content. You can also watch us. Hey, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you're seeing me do this.
And Rocket's here too.
You're seeing me do this. Yeah, I want there to be like a bonus question at the end where it's like, how many times did Megan give Rocket water?
How many times did
podcast?
Your Rocket drink water?
Yeah.
The podcast?
So yeah, that's the two big exciting things about season 5.
Lots going on. Our
Our
structure has changed a little bit as well, which we'll get into, which we'll hear and you'll experience firsthand in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I'm excited about today's movie because we hop back into the realm of rom-com.
Which
and
we haven't done in a while.
I think the only rom-com we've done was When Harry Met Sally.
When Harry Met Sally. I feel like we did another
Maybe there's another one lost in there.
Somewhere in like season 1 or 2.
Few and far between.
Hard to believe we're in season 5. That's bonkers. That's truly bonkers.
Wow.
At any rate, speaking of things being bonkers and maybe a bit excessive or over the top.
That's perfect.
Or crazy.
We watched Crazy Rich Asians. I feel like punctuation is everything when you say the title of this movie.
As a copywriter, I am furious about this. Because there needs to be a comma.
Does there? Because it's saying they're crazy rich,
or
not
a hyphen.
Crazy.
There needs to be a hyphen.
Not crazy and also rich. It's just they're crazy rich.
dash rich.
It's like
That's what it
the tagline
be.
of KFC. Like if they put a comma in there, it would be, we do chicken, right? So punctuation's important.
There also would be a question mark after that,
right?
Right? I mean, they do. Also,
Right.
Someone from New York is calling me right now. I don't
It's
know.
not I.
It's not, and it's probably someone about. Do you have health insurance?
Do you? Oh, that's right. I get these weird health insurance. Yes, and answer your question, watchers, listeners.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say yes. I have health insurance.
I mean, we do have health
We do
insurance.
have health insurance.
Is what I'm saying. I don't want people listening or watching this thinking like, "Oh my God, does Ben have health insurance?" I have health insurance.
All right,
we're cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm
Such an accomplishment.
Super blessed.
At any rate,
the plot breakdown for Crazy Rich Asians, a 2018 movie per IMDb. This contemporary romantic comedy based on a global bestseller follows native New Yorker Rachel Chu to Singapore to meet her boyfriend's family.
I mean,
that is super
that's
like
the most
broad
basic
stroke.
of basic. Like
They get really long.
that is a pumpkin spice latte basic bitch.
Here's another. Okay, let's go
breakdown.
with this one. Rachel Chu is accompanying her boyfriend to his best friend's wedding in Singapore. While in Singapore, she visits her friend and discovers that Nick comes from one of the wealthiest families in Singapore.
I mean, technically, yes, that's accurate, but that doesn't. The time frame is incorrect in that. It's like she discovers it before they get there.
Oh, right.
At any
Which
rate,
doesn't happen.
Anyway,
Anyway,
let's hear more.
Well, yeah, let's hear more.
No, yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is I think Megan has a real opinion on how this plot goes, and I want to give her 60 seconds.
That's
Oh,
right.
no.
Welcome to our new
Oh,
segment
no.
called Plot in 60 Seconds. This is something we would usually reserve for our guests, kind of a throw you in the deep end challenge. But since it's just us today, that's a great idea, Molly.
Oh,
Didn't
Molly,
you complained about it just enough?
Just enough.
You
See?
bitch.
I'm so glad I held back.
No, you're right. Okay.
So,
all right.
Megan, our inaugural Plot in 60 Seconds, you have 60 seconds to break down the plot of Crazy Rich Asians.
And I'm timing, so just whenever you want to go.
Okay, so there's this nice couple. They're Asians and they're in a cafe, and he's talking about, hey, my friend in Singapore is getting married. Do you want to come with me and meet my family? She's like, well, we've been dating for a year and a half, I guess. And then these people who are also Asian people spot him and take pictures of him and send it across the internet and be like, holy fuck, who's this bitch? And then they get on an airplane. She's like, wait, you're rich? He's like, yeah, I'm rich, but it's not me. So then they get to Singapore and she meets her college friend again, and she's hilarious. And she's like, your boyfriend is insanely rich, like crazy rich. Then basically all the Asian ladies are really, really mean to her and say that she needs to eat dead fish in a bed. And she says, forget it, I'm going to leave because Asian mom is really mad at me all the time. So she plays mahjong and says, fuck you, I'm an amazing, smart woman. And mom says, okay, fine, here's the ring. And you all live happily ever after. That is not accurate.
Well done.
It wasn't
It
wrong.
It
wrong,
wasn't not
but
accurate.
it also wasn't.
It also wasn't correct.
Completely.
I think that's a great way of
I
putting it.
applaud you. Our first plot in 60 seconds.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Golf
I'm gonna,
clap.
Welcome to season 5.
Welcome to
Season
season
5,
5, guys.
folks.
It's getting wacky. So
Are
this
you
film
a little
was directed.
sweaty.
I know I am.
Are you a
I'm
little-
Are
definitely.
you a little anxious? Do we need
I'm
to
a
take
little
five?
anxious.
Okay.
So this film was directed by John M. Chu. Now, I looked up John's filmography here. He not only directed Crazy Rich Asians, but he directed the sequel to Now You See Me. He directed a little movie called Gem and the Holograms, which was a massive flop.
Such a missed
He
opportunity.
directed the sequel to the G.I. Joe series, G.I. Joe Retaliation. He
Sure.
also directed 2 of the Step Up movies, including Step Up 3D and Step Up 2 The Streets.
As soon as you told me that, this movie made so much more sense.
And for our devoted listeners, this movie sees the return of Jazzy from High Strung. If you guys haven't listened to the episode of High Strung, go back and listen to it. But Jazzy is back.
No, we didn't review High Strung. We reviewed High Strung Free Dance.
I thought, you're
which was
right.
inspired
We watched High Strung.
by How Did This Gets Made episode of High Strung.
Of High Strung.
Which, oh my God.
Oh my God, you guys.
Oh my God,
Anyway,
you guys.
Jazzy's back. She's alive and well.
And getting married to another crazy rich Asian.
That's right. But the other actors in this film, Constance Wu plays our lead, plays Rachel Chu. Henry Golding in his very first movie, as it turns out.
That also does not
Rounding out the
surprise
supporting
me.
cast, we have Gemma Chan, Lisa Liu, Aquafina is in this movie.
Oh my God, I fucking love her.
Kim Jeong also shows up, and Sonoya Mizuno is the one who plays Araminta. Araminta, is that how you pronounce her name?
What?
Araminta. She's the one who's getting married to Henry Golding's best friend.
Jazzy?
Yes.
I don't know.
She's Jazzy. And rounding out the cast is an incredible performance by Michelle Yeoh, who plays Nick Young's mother, the family patriarch.
God.
I'm going to get into her performance real
Oh my
quick. But
God.
Megan, first impressions.
First impressions were, there were several times that I furrowed my brow because I was so confused and frustrated at what was going on.
Mhm.
And other times that I would vocally gasp or say, oh my God, what? There were a couple of different times that I did that. Overall, this movie frustrated me.
Okay.
I thought it was cute.
Okay.
I thought there were so many missed opportunities. And I'm going to give it, eventually you'll hear what a wow is.
Oh, what?
That
Okay.
is my, you got to stay tuned, listeners, for what a wow is.
Okay.
Ben, your first impressions?
I have seen better rom-coms.
Okay.
But much like Showgirls, the production value on this movie is insane.
I wrote
The
that
locations,
down.
I wanted to go to Singapore like today.
Me too, which I've
Because
never wanted to before.
I wanted to visit these hotels, these places and locations they used for filming.
All
I'm
the
like,
neon
I want to
lights.
go there right now. Given the state of the world where it is now, I don't know if that would be the best idea, but we'll see what happens a year from now. Who
Also,
knows?
I don't know. I would only want to fly to Singapore in the way that they did on like the really fancy bed things. And I don't know if we can
So
do
Megan
that.
didn't know that international
legit didn't know
airlines
that's a
had
thing.
these like bars on
Like
planes and
friggin'
beds
pods
and
and
like
shit?
pods and all that kind of
No,
stuff.
I'm
And
like,
she's like, this isn't real, is it? I'm
that's
like,
not
yeah,
a real
it's very
thing.
real.
No, I was like, is this a really fancy train that like there's no way you're on an airplane? No one can walk around in an airplane.
Molly, have you ever flown internationally like that? Because we haven't.
No, I wish. I've only ever been to Japan, and it was economy class, and it was the best plane food I've ever had, though. Let me just put it right there. Any other company that's not an American flight company is making delicious
plane food.
delicious plane food. Yeah.
Oh,
well, our desensitized
I'm
American
very
taste
crestfallen
buds.
at that.
What I have never done that, but I have watched YouTubers who like use all their miles and their points just to like fly on Emirates first class and like take advantage of everything. And then when they land, they basically just get back on the plane because they don't have any money to go anywhere. But you can watch those. Those are great.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it gave me a glimpse into lifestyles that I can't even touch. What I was wondering, you were wondering about the plane rides being real. I was wondering, like, are these types of families real? Like this culture must truly exist, and it's just a way of life that I couldn't even wrap my head around because it's so
the
crazy.
freaking freighter barge party. The shit was that. Wait, we have to hear about Molly's first impression.
Yeah, because I feel like I should clarify. This was mine and Megan's very first time.
Right.
Seeing
So this is our very first impression.
So this is collectively a first time for me and Megan. But Molly, you've seen this before.
I have. I saw it right when it came out. I also remember being frustrated. And not that I wasn't this time around at certain parts because they're valid. I was just like, this is so much fun. It's just like sparkly eye candy. It is full of badass women. I do remember that. I took myself on a date to the Alamo Drafthouse, which if people don't know is like a fancy movie theater where they like serve you food and drink at your table. And they were having like Pan Asian inspired specials. So I got dumplings. Yeah, it was great. So my whole like experience of it was awesome. But I do also remember the people next to me annoying me, so I didn't get to. Anyways, that's way off the point. But
that was part of your first impression of it.
Yeah. But brain fart, cut this part out.
Except in the video, which everyone will see. I know. I realized we need to start like doing stuff around here so that people will be like, "There's stuff that I'm missing."
Right.
Stuff that I'm missing. To go back to your question, are families like that real?
Yeah.
This movie is based off of a book. Written by Kevin Aquan, who not the makeup artist Kevin Aquan, for anyone who knows. They're different people. Okay. And this book is based on his life, his childhood growing up, where he had a shark in a shark tank in the floor in his living room. So yes, families like this exist. And
what the shit?
Yeah. So it's based on, it's not like an autobiography, but the families and people are based on families and people he knows. And in fact, this is trivia, but the director that he writes about, like, you know, the director in the movie
with the girlfriend and stuff,
with the girlfriend, he was writing about the guy who ended up directing this movie.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
I wonder if he knew.
Does that mean that he cast the lead as his girlfriend, that she was his girlfriend?
The director said that he related to Rachel the most. So in the story.
Not had the most relations with Rachel.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It should be said that Constance Wu does have a partner and they have a child together. I'm sure they're very happy.
Sure.
So, wow.
Interesting.
That's a fact I did not know.
Oh my God. But just even hearing the fact that it's like, yeah, you know, oh, hey, come into the living room. Hey, just mind the floors. We just waxed them. The shark is real, but he won't get you. Like,
exactly.
Like what is that?
And there's something in this movie sort of akin to an animal that lives in the house, but it's taxidermied. So we'll get into that.
Which
though.
that was weird.
That was
weird.
It was kind of weird, but
and it was noted a couple times, and I didn't know why.
A whole point of trivia about the tiger.
All right.
Now we move into a phase called Q and Bay.
This is our phase. This is your Q and Bay phase.
This is my Q and Bay phase. You just have to let me go through it and come out the other side. So we ask each other questions of like favorite scene, favorite character. For me, I guess my first question to Megan, and I guess you, Molly, was there a particular scene that really stood out to you and I hate to keep saying the word crazy, but there were so many scenes in this movie that were so impactful, but also just completely outrageous.
Okay.
I know what my scene was, at least the scene that had most impact on me.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there was a point in the movie where you were either swept away or super irritated or just had questions. Megan.
Yes. Like I just mentioned, the whole barge bachelor party, that was insanity with a capital I. Like the fact that you just see this giant barge and the whole thing is painted on the side. That's when I wrote down, how do people have the budget for these kinds of movies? Like, if you're doing a movie where people have to be crazy rich, what do you do with that budget? Like, how do you make that happen? So that was the first time I wrote that down. And then also too, in the middle of the party, like I thought there were so many fun opportunities for crazy things to happen. And I felt like just maybe one or two things happen. It's like, wow, we're all on a barge and it's all crazy and I'm shooting a bazooka. And then
what was he shooting out of the bazooka?
It was
Does
like
know?
flares or something.
I think it was just flares.
They were flares, okay.
Which he also pointed it towards the audience, and I'm like, why didn't he shoot it at the audience? Like, I was expecting something that level, like
I see.
Bridesmaids, Hot Fuzz, like that kind of crazy level of something happening.
We weren't on the barge for that long. You're right.
No, it was like, we're here, and then I'm going to make an insult about your girlfriend's boob size, and we're out. Like, it was not.
That was pretty much it.
And then too, the fact that they said, hey, let's get out of here, and it was nighttime, and then all of a sudden it's daytime and they're reading off their Kindles off of a small tiny island.
And the helicopter's parked on a rock.
Just on a rock. And one of my cousins is a helicopter like flight pilot. Helicopter pilot.
Helicopter flight, dude.
I signed that. He's a pilot, and I know for a fact you couldn't just fucking plop it down unless there's a landing strip behind it. But at any rate, so that one was like, not only was I like, what is happening for someone to have this kind of budget, but also too, I was like, we're at nighttime and now it's daytime and we're at one place and we're the other place. Hang on, there's one more thing, was the wedding.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The wedding as soon as I saw the water coming down, I'm like, watch the fuck out, because shit is about to get bonkers. Like, that was the most inventive entrance I've ever seen for a bride.
Yes.
It was so pretty.
That was my scene. Like, the wedding scene completely blew me away. What a great opportunity to like just showcase so many cool little ideas, but also like, it was, I don't know if it was culturally impactful, but at the same time, there were so many little nuances to the scene. What they did with like the flowers that had lights on them or whatever.
I love the mom's comment too, where she's like, "Is this a church or a rice paddy field?"
Right.
It was so great. I was like, that was how I felt too, but I loved it.
Because there's like high grass and plants everywhere, and it was lit really in a really cool way. And I suppose just for the sake of showing that scene in a movie, it just there was so much intimacy, but also it was just gorgeous to look at.
Yeah,
so beautiful to look at. That's a scene that really like took my breath away. Molly, anything?
My favorite scene is when we first meet Aquafina.
Mm-hmm. And her whole family.
Penglin, I think is how you say her name. Peaklin.
Yeah.
And her whole family, and I loved every single one of them. I am a sucker for a comedian. I love Ken Jeong.
Yeah,
his name, not Kim.
Not Kim Jong-un.
Yeah,
Kim Jong-un was not
Ken Jeong. I love him so much. I watched The Masked Singer and The Masked Dancer, and I love how dumb he is on it. I love that he's a real doctor. I love that he did stand-up comedy during college. I love everything about him.
Yeah.
That scene, the lunch scene, is probably my favorite. it's just so fun and lighthearted. And that is also like the adjacent scene to it is when we learn like they are crazy rich Asians.
Yes.
Crazy rich. And that's how we learn to say what the movie means.
Right, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a title.
I also thought it was interesting the way they conveyed how the money was being spent. So you have like Aquafina's family and Ken Jeong and all those guys. That's like the Donald Trump way to spend the money. Like it's all lavish and everything's gold plated. But you go over to the Youngs, all of the chicken nuggets ever. Then you go over to the Youngs' house. It's like very there's history there. Everyone is dressed a very specific way. You feel like Michelle Yeoh has complete control over every little thing that's happening. I just thought it was very interesting to see how they conveyed how one family spends it and how another family spends it.
And I very much appreciated Awkwafina pulling out a purse that was a map to help us understand.
To the dumb American audiences who are like, where's Singapore?
So great. She's like, no, this is where the old money came
Here's
from.
China.
This comes here. So that means
it actually really helped.
It really
like,
did help.
Oh, I'm really glad. Yeah. Like geographically.
It's like if royalty had moved to Singapore. Like effectively that's what it is. It's not new money.
Speaking
it's
of
money.
which, the opening scene I thought was really interesting because I wrote down racism and a big exclamation point. Then I was like, wait, imperialism, because you have these British people who are treating these Asian people very badly. And then they end up being the ones who are like bequeathed is it a hotel or the entire, anyway. So it just felt like a lot of historical layers were all happening at the same time.
Yes.
And then you get to see, what's our Henry Golding's character's name? Our lead guy, Nick. Thank you. You get to see him as a kid, sort of observing all of this, but how mistreated they were, and how like doors were slammed in their face, and like I'm gonna call the police if you don't leave. And so there was a lot of like racial undertones.
Side note, I would have been super pissed if a family had come in and a little kid just started smearing mud everywhere. Like that was
a
like
dick move.
To like a small degree, I'm like, okay, like your kids are being assholes. But then it's like, oh no, wait, you're like racist assholes. Never mind. Sweep away, kid. Like by all means.
And he's a kid too, so
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really important scene for the mom, Eleanor.
Yes.
Because for the rest of it, you kind of want to hate her.
Yeah.
But then there's a moment where you're like, spoiler alert, she redeems herself, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we like see her being words.
She's being words.
Like being mistreated and like that, like her life wasn't always easy.
I'm actually going to push back. I don't think that she was all that redeemed at the end. Personally, I was really frustrated by the end of this movie specifically. And I was curious if anybody else, because like I noticed quite a bit that there's all this emphasis on you need to take care of your family.
Yes.
And it's super American to be selfish and care about your own happiness. Don't care about your own happiness, care about legacy, care about making sure that everybody survives and taking care of your elders and those that come after you. That's what it's about. But then at the end, she kind of has a shift and she's then supportive in the opposite direction. But I felt like that was a pretty hard 180 to make. And also B, it's clear that because she has that eye contact moment with Rachel and she's like, that's the name, right?
Yep.
Okay. She has the eye contact moment with Rachel and Rachel's got the ring and then she just walks out of frame. And there wasn't like an acknowledgement. There wasn't like a nod. Like there wasn't anything. It was just like,
I thought
yes,
it was a smile.
You're wearing my ring. Bye. Like she just walked out of frame.
I think we're led to believe that she has a lot of growing to do, and she's going to be on her own journey about coming to peace with this whole decision, and that's maybe another story. We should mention there are 2 greenlit sequels to this movie.
Are there really?
Yeah.
Because there's 2 other books, correct?
I think so. He's
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Uh,
Well, maybe that makes
And
sense.
Constance Wu is confirmed to come back.
Judged and discriminated against. Those were the words that I was looking for earlier. She
Oh,
knows what
okay.
it's
Oh.
like to be judged and discriminated against, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And that, like, I feel like that helps her in the end. And the whole
Sure.
thing where, like, this was the ring that my husband got me because his mother wouldn't give me her, you know, like, so that was the moment. That's what that ring
Right.
symbolizes. Like, I've come to my senses. That fucked up our whole family. Look how fucked up that is.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
That was like the truths moment, you know, like, here's a truce.
So where is the dad? Where the fuck is the dad?
It doesn't matter.
He's on business.
You don't think it matters
I
at
don't think it
all?
matters.
I don't think so either. I think they did a good job about sort of bringing him up, and there are points when you sort of feel his presence, but I think Michelle Yeoh is so grounded and so powerful in this movie that you don't really need dad.
I
Like, you
felt
just
like it
feel that
was-
authoritarian attitude.
It seemed
coming from
important to
her.
me that he was missing, and I didn't know why. Like, and I didn't know if that's just that wasn't part of the book, or if it's
What?
something that it's in the future books or what. But it seemed important that he was not there. Maybe that's just me reading into it. But
What did you guys think of the whole subplot
Oh, that's
of
right.
the cousin and her husband? Her husband is like having an
Oh,
affair
God.
because he feels like he's not good enough. This kind of ties in with the whole narrative that this family is going through, where none of the outsiders who try to marry into the family feel like they're adequate enough.
Right.
And so
It was almost like a warning to her, to Rachel.
Yeah, maybe. I just thought the plot line was really clumsy.
Me too. It was odd that she was like, I'm going to go buy all this shit because I want to buy all this shit.
And then I'm going to hide it.
And then I'm going to hide it
Yeah.
because I don't want my husband to feel inadequate.
Right.
But then did he start that, or did she start that? Like, who started that?
Because he has a startup and he's doing kind of his own thing, but then she like gets him a watch that's really nice. And
He bought the house, right?
He bought the
right.
apartment.
So he's
That
not
was
like
good.
filthy poor.
No.
Crazy rich Asians, filthy poor Asians.
Filthy poor
He
Asians.
clearly was like at least middle class. But I think
Yeah.
that
Yes.
like even rich Asians are going to feel less than. I think that's the point also, is like, unless you come from this class, you're just gonna feel out of it no matter
Right.
what, no matter how
Yeah.
good you are. Like, you're not welcome here. And even when you are welcome here, you're not gonna feel it.
And I feel like that's the thing too, though, is that like that was the other part too, is at the end, like you see her by herself at the party and is like looking at some other guy, and it's kind of like, oh, ooh, what?
I
What's
think they
going
had
on
sequels
there?
on the mind. Oh, so
It's
like
in the
when
credits.
when the end credits roll, it's like a bonus scene.
It's like this random. I'm like, it's
Gotcha.
barely an Easter egg.
It's
Barely.
like 10
my
seconds
dog.
long. Yeah, it's super
Yeah,
weird. But
gotcha.
anyway,
Okay.
I just thought that whole
Yeah.
subplot was a little weird.
was
Apparently, it's different in
clunky.
the book,
It
and I'll get into
seemed
trivia.
like it. It seemed like it was. This film felt like it had a lot of fingers in it. It felt like it was messed with quite a bit.
What did you guys think of Henry Golding? Did he do a good job?
Who?
The guy who played
Nick.
Nick. I keep wanting to say Charlie. I don't know
Nick.
why, but anyway, he plays.
I
Nick,
loved
who-
him.
Yeah.
You did.
I did. I love him.
Megan?
No. Because like it's very clear to me that he is aware that he is not being truthful about the fact that his family is insanely rich.
Yeah.
He is aware that it is a bad thing that he's not being truthful and that a bunch of shit's going to come out, and he is aware that that is probably going to hurt Rachel in one way or another. I think he's aware of all of that, or if he's assuming that it's going to be fine, he's stupid for assuming that. And there was no true expression other than one point where he said, "I'm really sorry. I super messed up." And that was it. And it was like, I just feel like there was so little acknowledgement of his part of lying about this very big part of his identity.
I think you're right, because it ran deeper than being like, oh, I just messed up. I also I was very uncomfortable with the relationship between him and his mom.
Really?
I did not. There were moments when I'm like, what is happening between you two? And again, I think this may be a cultural thing, and Michelle Yeoh mentions this, that she has a very hands-on approach to her children's lives, and she's involved. because we build things that last. And so it's my job to make sure that I protect you and that I'm involved and make decisions for you, et cetera, et cetera.
What was the thing about him being like, Rachel's like, but you were just a child. Was it that his grandma took care of him instead of her?
Yeah.
Is that what
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you were sent away.
Yeah.
Mom didn't live in that house.
Huh.
Mom didn't live there. Grandma.
So he
took
was
care of
raised by
Grandma.
GamGam.
By
right.
GamGam.
Amma.
Amma, that's right.
But
I
should clarify and say, when you asked me, I thought you meant the actor, and I love him.
Oh, okay.
Nick, the character, no.
Okay.
No, there is so very little that is redeemed by him.
His arc was just super
He
confusing.
had no arc.
He had no arc. And what I wanted to see, I think I wanted to see maybe more of what you were mentioning, like that internal struggle of like wanting to do my duty to my family, but also like, I really love this woman. What do I choose? I never really felt that conflict on a deep and meaningful level. I wanted to
Yeah.
see a scene where he like confronted his mother.
Or even too, like maybe feeling some kind of shame for the fact that he's so wealthy.
Yeah.
Like just like, because it was
Well,
all convenient.
He's clearly hiding from it. That's why he's in New York for
It just
a year
all
and a half.
felt convenient.
Right.
You know?
I feel like there was, I could be making this up. I feel like in the theatrical release, there was a scene where he confronts his mother.
Well, there's that scene where
was
he's like changing
one.
his shirt and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I had all your stuff
After
ironed."
she
And
runs
he's-
out of the party. I feel like that scene
No.
in the theatrical release, I
Okay.
feel like that scene where she goes to talk, like we only see it in like a brief second and then he goes and proposes and has the ring, right?
Right.
I could be
Yeah.
making it up. I feel like that was an actual scene that might have been
Mm.
cut to be like released to streaming.
Okay.
I just, yeah.
But
and
I
that's the other
feel like
thing,
there was where he
too.
was like, I'm gonna marry this girl. Like, I feel like maybe that's why I liked him, or maybe I'm making it up. But that
like
keeps happening with these movies too. I'll be like, because we're streaming them or renting them, you know, we're not
Right.
seeing them, and I keep thinking that there's like pieces missing.
There's stuff cut
And that's
out.
the thing. That was the other thing I noticed throughout this is that it just felt edited. There were so many random ass cuts where it's like they're just in the middle of talking and then we're out. We're into a totally different place. And I really noticed that a couple of different times. It was kind of jarring for the story. So I was
It
frustrated
was
by
still
that.
2 hours long.
You was still
So
2 hours
long.
Yeah, that's crazy.
at any rate.
Anyway,
It is.
those are some of the questions I had. So let's move into one of my favorite new portions is hot takes. We have some hot takes. We have hot takes. We got conspiracy theories. Was there anything you guys had as far as the nature of the film? I think the hot takes that I wrote down, I guess these are more for Rant and Raven.
I know we have to kind of like,
They're going to be similar.
They are
keep
pretty
in
similar.
mind, y'all, is that we have a bonus content on Patreon. If you subscribe to a certain level, you get Rants and Raves. This is like happy hour level. Like we're just bitching or raving about things from the movie that we feel strongly about. So make sure you subscribe for Rants and Raves. But this is hot takes.
Hot take for me. There's a portion of this movie that I think stole from a plot line from Dennis the Menace when they're waiting for the flowers to bloom. I'm like, isn't this part of the plot for Dennis the Menace? Because Walter
What?
Matthau's whole backstory, he's got this party that he's planning because his flower only blooms like once every 25 years or some shit like that.
Is that the corpse flower?
Yeah, so it's like a deep red. I forget what it's called in the live action Dennis the Menace film.
Oh my
Forgive
God.
me, but I don't know if they stole that or if the author was like, "Oh, I'm going to use that somehow." But they're throwing this party in which all of these flowers like bloom
At a specific
at a very
point.
specific point
Yes.
in the year.
Can you imagine planning that?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine being a party planner to be like, okay, so we need to talk to the horticulturist just to make sure, are we still on for the 22nd or is it going to be the 23rd? Like they would have to like make adjustments weeks, like days beforehand to be like, are we sure it's going to bloom on this day? Because otherwise we're fucked if we're all
'Cause
there
I'm
and they don't
making-
actually bloom.
I'm hand making 10,000 dumplings. so
Yes.
it better be ready.
This needs to be ready. No, yeah. I don't know. That is a hot take.
That is a hot take.
Dennis the
Did this movie
Menace.
steal from Dennis the Menace? You decide.
I feel like my hot take is that this is kind of similar to another movie that we'll talk about a little bit later on this season. This does the thing that it strives to not do, which is this is a powerhouse female Asian driven cast that then makes powerhouse Asian women seem awful. Like, I felt like there were so many instances
compared to American culture.
I don't know. That's the thing is that I wasn't sure if it was specific to women, if it was specific to Asian American or Asian culture versus Asian American culture.
Right.
I wasn't sure if it was specific to just women in general being mean to one another, but it was like there was such a great opportunity here for us to be able to really showcase an all Asian cast and have the ability to tell an important story about class, about race, about, family. And yet the huge part of this movie was about women being horrible to one another.
Yeah.
Which made me so frustrated. And I actually don't think this movie passes the Bechdel test. I was thinking about that. I don't think it does, which made me really upset because I'm like, this is such a great opportunity to have something like this greenlit and to get all of this publicity and popularity, and to have it miss those two very important boats of passing the Bechdel test and having women support one another when it's not in a mother-daughter relationship.
Interesting.
That is my piping hot take at that.
I also wanted to bring up the use of music and cinematography styles specifically from the movie Apocalypse Now.
Oh.
Robert Duvall in that movie, he plays. Yeah, I know. Here we go.
I'm ready.
Big turn
I'm
in
sorry.
the hot takes. Robert Duvall plays a member of the cavalry. Now, in the Vietnam War, the cavalry, they didn't ride horses. They had helicopters. And there's this whole sequence where they're about to attack all of these villages. And they play that dun 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 dun.
Rise of the Valkyrie.
Rise of the Valkyrie. Thank you. So
where did that come from? That I remember.
I don't know. I'm so glad you mentioned it because I forgot.
Judgmental. I can't find.
Those are not there, but Rise
Flight
of the
Valkyrie. Flight, Rise,
Flight of the Valkyrie.
Yeah, it's there. It's the Valkyrie.
Fight or flight.
Rise of the Valkyrie.
So they use both helicopters and that music in this movie, and I thought it rode a very fine line because the movie is all about America's involvement in Vietnam, how we brutally murdered a lot of people in that war, but they were using the music in a way that felt like, are they trying to like not take it back, but at the same time, it felt like both appropriate and inappropriate at the same time. I didn't know what to think.
It's that fine line between making fun of something and then being something that you're making fun of.
Right.
It's like, what are we doing? I'm sorry. I'm really distracted by our neighbor across the street.
What's happening?
Well, this person is going on a run,
but they're running around. They're just
running around their house. This is now, I think, the 5th loop.
Wow.
They have a mask. They have a mask on.
Good.
But they're just running around their house, and this is, a ranch house. It's not huge.
Wow.
But
this is the unique Patreon content you get, you guys.
You won't be able to see them.
We should set up neighbor cam just so
neighbor
cam.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal. That needs to be
in our house.
Circuit.
We could just say it's CCTV. So, but yeah, I felt weird when that music came on. I was like, I did really like the music in this movie, though. I did too.
I loved the music,
and I wrote that down from the usage of American pop songs with. What is it? Chinese.
Yes,
it
was like
covers
to
them.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Almost
really
more enjoyable, I would say.
Yeah, and I also thought it was really interesting. The use of color in this was very specific.
Yeah.
And I freaking loved that. Like, I love when you have a costumer that's given license to be able to make something more than just they need to wear clothes. It's like everything they wear really says something,
and everything has meaning.
Right. Even like right off the bat, we get called like, okay, you need to wear a lucky color.
Because
like that's a whole fucking thing. Yeah. And are you looking now?
I'm trying to see.
I think they might have stopped. Oh, nope.
No.
We're slowing down to a walk now.
All right.
Oh, now we're going. Yeah, now we're back at it. And we have a car going off. A car alarm going off. You can hear this now.
I can hear that. Yeah.
This happened earlier. And I think what's happening is the kid is actually getting a hold of his dad's keychain and pressing the button.
Oh,
I think this is the guy that is hoarding cars. He got a new one and he doesn't know how to handle the freaking car alarm
Oh,
on
I
this.
don't know.
new
This is like
car.
the 5th time this has happened today. So
Yikes.
we'll let this pass.
Okay.
But for those that are subscribed, it's
There we
done.
go.
All right, we can leave
See,
all
again,
that
with
in.
Patreon, you get the real stuff. You get the nitty gritty messiness of what it is to create a podcast. So thanks for subscribing. We
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
subscribing.
That being said, why don't we hop into some trivia?
Yeah, let's hop into trivia. Let's cue that new fancy, fantastic, amazing trivia music.
Here we go. Most of Aquafina's lines were improvised.
No.
As if I don't know. I got that feeling too. Like she was like a lot of the comic relief for the movie, but the way she was sort of like wild lining through the movie, I think he just kind of let her go.
Can I just say that watching this movie didn't make me want to watch more of this. It made me want to watch Aquafina and Queens. Like that's what this movie made me want to watch her series because I love her so fucking much.
I almost wanted to see a movie of her family.
I did. That's what I want to see.
100%.
Why do we
Wouldn't
not
that be
have that?
amazing?
Why that needs to be a series right now. Netflix, I know you're listening. This is what we want.
Spoiler alert a little bit. So the emerald ring at the end of the movie
Yes.
that Michelle Yeoh gives to her.
Eleanor, the character's name
that
is
Eleanor gives
Eleanor.
to
Rachel.
Constance Wu.
Rachel.
Jesus.
Through
You're
Nick.
as bad as I am.
The-
Via Nick.
Could I
ring-
request that maybe you write the names at the top of your book?
I always write the names of the actors and never their
They're just in
character.
the middle.
Yes. Okay.
This
But
is why.
long story short, Michelle Yeoh actually owns that ring. She felt the
great.
original ring for the movie was not adequate at all. But and apparently Michelle Yeoh has her own like private collection. And not only that, she has connections with some of the most powerful people in and around China. So she can call in some favors, which is not surprising. She just seems that like that.
She
kind
does.
Of
She's
person.
kind of got that massive, like next level boss bitch.
Yes,
vibe
like
about
an
her.
effortless vibe about her. Also,
Crouching
Netflix,
Tiger, Hidden Me.
Netflix wanted to buy the rights to this movie, and they offered a lot of people
A lot of money.
like 7-figure like purchasing, and they said no. And I'm glad they said no because they wanted to make a point. They wanted to make a point that Asian American studio movies could be successful.
Ooh.
And it was. This movie had a budget of, I think, $30 million and made 11 times, 12 times that much.
How do you make this movie with $30 million?
30 million. And I'm looking at this
go
movie.
to cheap places in Asia.
Yeah, I was about to
This
say
is
the
a
conversion
good
rate, they were
point.
probably able to stretch a lot of that money.
Oh, really good point.
So yeah, 30 million. I was surprised because I thought it was more. Just looking at this movie, you just think they spent hundreds of millions of dollars, but
Interesting.
only 30 million.
Huh.
This is Henry Golding's first movie, which is why I asked if you guys thought his performance was good. He was doing like a
do not
travel
care for
show
him.
before this or something,
Do not care
but
for
they
him.
needed an Asian American actor with a British accent,
Which I didn't understand why they needed to have British accents.
because of
They
Story?
went to
they went to boarding
school in London.
Oh.
There's
so
a- Sorry.
no, go
There
ahead.
was an interview with the cast, and I think this kind of got cut out of the movie a bit, but it's kind of like Asian Americans are different from Asians are different from Asian Australians, are different from Asian London. And if you like that movie kind of wanted to make it apparent that there's like different versions of Pan-Asian culture.
Yes.
Right.
And it all stems from there and that money, and then there's something about imperialism in there.
I was about to say imperialism
Interesting.
ties in. a
Right.
great deal, I think.
Huh.
But
Fascinating.
yeah, but it was a lot about just the different. Constance Wu said it. You're gonna find different cultural Asians
Right.
everywhere. She's like, I'm an
Yeah.
Asian, but I'm American, and so that is part of who I am. And
Right.
so
Right.
we don't know much about what Asian Europeans are like, but I think that they're trying to show. And then I think that his friend's girlfriend, or the woman who he's getting married to, is Asian Australian. Sounded like she had an Australian accent.
Oh,
so like,
interesting.
or it was your. It wasn't a great accent.
Wasn't a great one.
Hot
For
take.
Jazzy.
Not a great
Hot
accent.
take. Wow.
Hot take.
All right.
But yeah, so I think that it was important to just show that there's not just Asian American and
Yeah.
Asian, that
There's
they're everywhere.
multiple different. Okay. All right.
And
I can
Henry
get with
Golding
that.
originally, he didn't think he was legit enough to take the role, but the director actually found him by reaching out to a mutual friend they had on Facebook, messaging him, and then setting up the audition from there. So it took a lot of convincing, but he took the role, and yeah.
This is why you need to build a website. This is
Makes you want to hop back on
I
Facebook for me
know
anyway.
so many actors that don't have a website, and it drives me
Yeah.
bonkers.
Get a website.
Special bonus fact of that, it was actually the accountant in Malaysia who found him and introduced
What?
introduced him or showed him to the director. The director stalked him on Instagram, found a mutual friend of his through that, and spoke to his mutual friend, and his mutual friend did connect them over Facebook. And Harry Golding cut his honeymoon short to go audition.
Yes, that's the next thing I had was like he cut his actual honeymoon short to do a screen test.
Ben, I would have been furious if you cut our honeymoon
Megan,
short.
if I was doing a screen test for a lead in a studio movie, I would cut our honeymoon short.
All right, fine.
And you would understand.
His wife encouraged him and told him to go.
There you go. There you go.
It was approved.
I would be approved and silently frustrated that timing happened.
The next thing I wrote down is the story of the tiger. And I know I mentioned this earlier. So they wanted to use a real stuffed tiger, but the only one that was available, I think, was in London. And they couldn't get it through customs legally. So they had to build one and then cover it with a tiger pelt, and then mount it to be in the scene in the movie. It wasn't ready until the night before. They did not know if they could pull it off, but that's the only way they got the tiger there because they couldn't get the original.
And it seems like that's really important somehow again to the story. Like that's not just like, oh, an aside, like it must have been in the book.
Well, I think of like the true story of the author growing up with a shark in the floor. You know, I'm like, oh yeah. So maybe that's where like the big tiger in the living room.
And also, have you guys heard the term tiger mom? Like the overbearing Asian mom?
Oh no.
Tiger mom. And then they call her, oh no, this might have been in an interview also. They decided that Michelle Yeoh was like, I think that it's more like a dragon mom because our children are so precious to us. They're our precious treasures. They're like eggs. But that term, tiger mom, is what I thought of when I saw that tiger. Like
that makes a lot of sense.
In,
and we only really see it when it's in relation to her. Yeah, that makes sense.
And there actually is a moment in the movie where they're playing with levels. Like Rachel's down on one step, and then Michelle's like one step up of her, and she's like, "You will never be good enough." Like, oh my god!
Just enough with her spatial bubble pushed her down.
Oof.
Oh,
that was so great. So great.
That was great.
Women are horrible.
The original. So what happened with the fish and the sweet and the blood and all that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah.
In the book, it was actually in her purse, not in her bedroom. And I think the writing on the window said like "you gold digging bitch" or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the book,
you gold digging bitch.
Yes, but in the book they said "you gold digging C word." So they adapted that, I think, for audiences. Because it can be a difficult word to both hear and read.
It is. So. That is like one of the most violent words in the English language.
It's the
just
spelling
like
too.
The
it's
plosives,
the vowel. It's just.
It is a rough, and I've never been able to use that in like a fun way. Like I know that other people can use it in a fun way, and I always am like, I can't take the power in a positive way. I've yet to figure that out.
That's fair.
Other people can, and I haven't made that part in my journey yet.
Also in the book, and I know we talked about sort of the clumsy plot line of the affair and everything in the novel. I should say it's not a novel, is it, or the book?
That's like the difference between a comic and a graphic novel. I don't know.
So in the book,
I'm pretty sure it's a novel.
Right. Okay. So if it's okay, well, we can get into semantics. But Michael, who's the husband, actually left the text on his phone for her to see because he needed a way out. So he actually, in the book, he didn't receive a text from someone. He actually typed it out, left his phone where she could see it. so she would divorce him because he didn't have the guts to do it or something like that.
So wait, the woman
wish they
didn't
kept that in.
actually text
yeah, me
him?
too. It actually would have been a little bit more interesting.
Oh shoot. I also have, just to go back on a hot take or a conspiracy theory,
Go ahead.
I think it would have been way more interesting if she actually knew part of what happened with her dad. I think that would have been really
Yeah.
interesting.
There was some history we didn't
Because
really
there
get
was
there.
so much in this movie about hiding your true self
Mhm.
and like deception, that I think that she was the only person that wasn't hiding anything. It would have helped bring everybody to the same level if it's like, I knew that and I felt ashamed. Oh, look, we're all hiding things that we don't need to be ashamed about. Like I think it would have been way more interesting if she knew a little bit something about it, but then more
Sure.
of it was revealed later by her mom.
I agree.
That
I
was
agree.
my like hot take, other hot
slash
take
rant and
conspiracy
rave
theory.
slash.
Is it a rant and rave?
Is it a rant?
Anyways,
It's almost there. So just two more bits of trivia. All of these designers, once they found out this movie was greenlit, Ralph Lauren, Dolce & Gabbana, Valentino, Dior, and many others clamored at the opportunity to be the official wardrobe
they're
for
just like
this movie.
throwing clothes at them.
I think they had 30 MUAs for
Oh,
this movie. Is something I read. 30 makeup
bless.
artists just on standby because it was super hot and muggy.
So
I'm
hot.
sure.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh actually used bits of clothing for her own costumes from her own personal collection, which is also not surprising.
Like becoming this whole thing
I
now.
know.
Yeah.
What is her story?
Very last bit of trivia. Nico Santos, who played Oliver, who is, I believe, the quote rainbow fish of the family.
Rainbow sheep.
Sheep of the family. He based his
Hey,
voice on Tim Curry. He wanted a mix of both Frankenfurter and his performance in Clue, and oddly enough, those two characters are also associated with a gong, and the gong shows up in his first scene. But anyway,
I love that.
I love that.
Based all that on Tim Curry.
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm gonna eat onions. That's
Love it.
so good.
Yeah, he's a
So
great
good.
character.
he
He's
is.
I
so-
loved him. He was my favorite part.
And that's
I'm
trivia.
not gonna lie.
That's
Him and
trivia.
I-
Yeah.
That's trivia, folks.
I'm surprised that they didn't just CGI that tiger, the tiger.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because that entire outside house leading up is CGI.
That's all CG.
It's all
Well,
like the water CGI, the little pagoda on the water CGI. The home was real, but it was
Yes.
abandoned, and they had to clear out monkey poop
And like bats.
What?
and get bats out of there. But they were trying to like recreate the look of Kevin Aquan's childhood home.
Wow.
If you noticed, this is a Michelle Yeoh plug. If
Again.
you notice, there are red Chinese lanterns all over that party scene.
I did.
So they were originally white, and she went to the director and was like, that means we're at a funeral. We can't have white lanterns. And so they went through and gelled all of the lanterns to red. Yeah, so good for her.
She's just saving the
I
day.
need it. Where is she?
I feel
Can
like I
just-
need her in my
She's
life.
like magic. She
She's-
needs
yeah.
to be my little assistant. That sounds so demeaning. I
Oh my
don't mean it
God.
in that way. I mean it like my protector.
Your life coach.
My life coach and my guider.
that,
Like when
yeah.
I'm making important decisions, I need her to come in and be like, don't do that.
It's like a Jiminy Cricket and like Ghosted Christmas present
Not
at the same
assistant.
time.
Exactly.
Right,
That's
right.
what I need her to be.
Yeah.
Thank you. That saved me. Thank
Megan,
you.
is this movie worth a watch?
This is where, ladies and gentlemen, I know you've all been on the edge of your seats to find out what a wow means. This is a wow for me. This is worth one watch.
Mm.
This is not something I would watch again, but I think that since there is such fantastic representation, there's a really, I think like Molly just said, it's a fun story. It's a romance. But to me, it's an elevated Hallmark movie. Like it doesn't have the offensive undertones that come with a Hallmark movie, in my opinion. But it is a rom-com at a very base level. And I think there were a lot of missed opportunities, as I mentioned.
Okay.
So I think that this movie's a wow, worth one watch. Ben?
I would agree in that it's worth one watch, but I think I would watch it again, but not like soon.
You
The-
need some space?
The
You need
production,
some space from it?
it's a wow with space.
Oh, wait. So
It's
a
a
wow is a
watch.
worth one watch. So it's
Worth one watch like once a year.
it's a wow
It's a
worth another watch.
Yeah,
Wow.
worth another
Wow.
watch.
Wow.
Eventually, the production value in this movie, it's so great to look at. It's just so cool.
It's really cool.
I feel like there are some plot lines that come to fruition more than others. It's a little bit clumsy at points, but god damn it if Michelle Yeoh doesn't hold this movie above water.
Oh my God.
I have seen better romantic comedies, but I
Yes.
also thought it was really cool, like you said, to see an Asian director with an all Asian cast with
Yes.
Asian writers.
Yes.
So it's been a while since a movie like this was made, long time coming, and hopefully we see more films like this. So I think it's significant just for all of those reasons. So worth a watch. But like I said, I've seen better romantic comedies, some that aren't as clumsy, but it was so cool to look at. Michelle Yeoh's amazing. So watch it and then like put it away for a while, and then
And then you're
maybe
remember
watch
to
it
come
again.
back again.
Yeah, exactly.
Molly?
Watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it as many times as you want to, but if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I actually wrote in big, huge letters at the bottom, the end, I wrote, strong female characters all over this bitch.
Yes.
And,
that is also true.
while Megan made a good point that there were some catty, mean bitches.
Yes.
Yes, I just used bitch negative and positive in this review. And that's my prerogative. I think that, first of all, this book was written by a man and it was also directed by a man.
Correct.
And so I think that one, he might have seen that within his own family structure. We have to remember this is
Okay.
based off of real
Yes.
people, right?
True.
And you can put that, like, any culture of women together. And
That's
if there's
exactly what I was going to say.
jealousy anywhere, like a lot of that bitchiness seems to have come out of jealousy.
Yep.
But there are these moments where these women are supporting each other, like that chickens are bitches, bok bok, like Aquafina.
I love that.
Everyone needs an Aquafina in their life. Look at me using the actor's name. Everyone needs an Aquafina in their life, and a Peaklin, and the director will even tell you Peaklin is basically Aquafina. So everyone needs one of her in their life. I strive to be her for my friends. I thought that it was when the wife put on the earrings at the end, when she was like, you're out. Like, actually, I'm out.
I'm out.
She was like, I'm out of here. And you're going to see your son when it works for him.
Yeah.
I thought was just like a nice way of having another strong moment for a woman.
Yeah.
That storyline didn't bother me. I think we just needed to see like as many variations in his family as possible. Like, everyone does just live a different life, but they're all very like constrained to this money, and that it does like put a strain on that relationship.
Right.
So, like, I thought that there were like good points to it. How that relationship was and how they portrayed it in the movie was weird. Like,
it just felt clunky.
It felt clunky. Yeah, that's totally fair. But it was the moment that she walked out of the house that I went, strong female leads, bitches.
Yes.
So I think,
and I also love too that Rachel's character is like, at first I'm like, oh, I guess we have a character that like plays poker professionally, which I got really excited about. And then I got even more excited about the fact that it's like, oh no, it's a psychology around poker playing.
Right.
And how like my mind was fucking blown by that. And I wish that what I had seen in that scene of her badassery, that had such a strong tone. And I felt like that faltered an awful lot throughout the rest of the movie. And it was like just like beaten away at time and time again by these catty ass women.
Yeah.
And it seemed odd to me. Like she comes off with such a strong vibe, and then it's just chipped away bit by bit by bit.
Well, she is a fish out of water, and so
no pun intended.
Yeah,
for this movie.
Yeah, I feel like she's not on her home turf, so I don't know. She's in their world now.
I guess.
And these are the
that's
rules.
a good point.
And she's just
she
trying
wants
to catch up, and
she wants to impress.
Yes.
She wants to be a part of it. She wants to, I don't know, like all of us, be liked and accepted because she loves her man, and she wants to have that work out.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I did write Rachel is too chill at Nick. I did write that.
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
But you can kind of see in that mahjong, in the final scene in mahjong, that like she is a level-headed, cool. She doesn't show her card. Like she's not
right
an emotionally driven character.
Yeah.
And I think in rom-coms that's weird to see.
That is weird to see.
And
that's a good point.
She definitely like didn't give him enough hell. Like we were all like, why are you letting this happen? Right.
Yeah.
But she just kept being like, I don't want to make a big deal of it. Like, I'm not going to call security when I find a fish in my bed and like threatening words. So psycho killer, I think she said. Like, you know, so I think that like we just might have been like, that's not how I would have handled it. Why aren't you like handling this differently? Besides the fact that she felt lied to. Like, there's also these can be in rants. Sorry, we can put this in rants and raves.
That's my thing. Like, as a script writer, there were just parts that I felt that I personally would have stitched together differently. And I think that that's an important way of looking at it, is like the way that this was stitched together. Again, we're looking at crafting a garment, which is the movie. And depending on how many seamstresses are working on this can very much affect how the end result looks. I think that there were too many seamstresses on this garment, and the way that it was stitched together is something that didn't make sense to me. One arm looked longer than the other. One pocket was a little bit higher than the other one. I wouldn't have picked this color at that spot. But ultimately, I think it would be, you know, again, worth one watch. And I just didn't like how some of this was streamed together. And I thought there were a lot of missed opportunities. But I still think it's fun.
It's fun.
And it's pretty and it's goofy. And like Ben said, I can we have a spinoff of just Awkwafina's family?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Oh, which other little piece of trivia? That family's home is the old Emperor of Malaysia's home. Like,
what?
Emperor of Malaysia's old home.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that who Derek Zoolander is supposed to kill?
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God, you're right. The minister of Malaysia, yeah.
The prime minister. Yeah. There's no more emperors in Malaysia. But yeah.
Wow.
So that was his old house. And the wedding scene in the book, they say it's a $50 million wedding.
Wow.
And they said that I'm guessing this is converted because it's all filmed in Malaysia and China. They spent, I couldn't tell from this interview if they said they spent 150 million or if it looked like 150 million. But either way, it was just like
150 million.
Yeah.
Wedding.
For that. Yeah. So those were just the two little extra pieces of trivia that I thought were cool.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, that is season opener.
That's Crazy Rich Asians
for season 5 of So I Married a Cinephile. There are so many great episodes that we have coming up, and so much fun content.
Cannot wait.
Like seriously stoked. So once again, if you have not signed up for our Patreon level, please do so. Go to patreon.com/SIMAC podcast. Find a subscription level that works for you. You know, just a little
whatever fits,
whatever works for you. And you get a little bonus stuff. There's Patreon specific only merch. And make sure you follow us on social media. That's important too.
Yeah. Give us a
like
podcast. Share us around. Give us a review.
Oh yeah. Give us a review. We're now up to 5 stars again.
That's good.
We got up to 5 stars. That one person is now that one person of the 1 star is in the minority now.
Forgotten.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's about it.
Well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening in. Molly, thank you for being here and keeping us all organized and together.
Thank you for keeping us warm. He's asleep.
He's asleep. Okay. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
go watch Crazy Rich Asians, and we will see you back here for our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
But stay
right here. Whew.
How much time was that?
Well, that was 20 right now, so it's about
we did go was at 8 minutes and bye was at 1:15. So yeah, an hour, 7.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, it'll probably be a tight 45.
Very tight 45, right?
We'll see.
It'll be great.
All right. Well, I have a couple of rants and raves that we can jump
I have,
into
let's
whenever
see here,
we make that transition.
the ADR. Oh, the brother.
Oh, I talked about all my
and
raves.
that one.
Except for one.
Okay.
It sounds like you have some.
3.
Great.
I don't.
got 3.
Do I have any? No.
Okay.
I've just talked about everything I love
Exactly.
already. I was like, I love
I already
Aquafina.
know
I love
some
that
of
scene. I love everything. I don't hate much about it. I really
Okay.
do think your second watching, you just like let go of the bullshit that you hate.
Okay.
I think that's really what it is.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
you're just like, yeah, that's stupid. She should be more angry about this. And then you're just like,
but okay.
look at that Bugatti that Aquafina is
Look how
driving.
pretty.
So
But
like,
how pretty.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Welcome to our very first Rant and Rave session.
We're ranting and raving.
We're ranting and raving. We got rants and reaves. Every time.
Who
Every
is it?
time
It's
I
just
will
gonna
do
be.
that.
It's just gonna be an
Is
accent.
it a cut? Is it like a?
I don't know. It's an accent. And she's coming out. She's got a thing to say. She's ranting and raving.
Okay, I thought it was like a character.
Raven.
Either
No.
created-
Not.
I'm excited to see
not
how
yet.
this character develops over season
5.
She'll be there.
No, I'm not going to go into it.
Megan, what do you got?
All right. So I had 3 things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, I know we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to rave on the wedding because like the whole thing too, where it was like the design and the decorations everywhere were so pretty and like how fucking inventive, like to take something that is like so new and like make it, but still honor very much the past.
Yeah.
I loved that. And the whole water procession thing, which also, was she wearing pants? Did I see that she was like wearing
It
pants?
looked like she was wearing shorts of some
It
type.
was really hard to see what was going on.
Yeah, I thought she was wearing like mermaid legging pant things.
Something.
But I thought
she wasn't wearing shoes, clearly, because she's walking through water.
Right.
So, but it was definitely something that was high up. I just don't remember what they were.
And I was curious.
It looked like her legs were like shimmery and like
yeah.
They almost looked like python leggings or something like
that.
Mermaid is also like scaly and shimmery, but like goldy. It was like wedding dress color too.
Yeah, and it's like stuff that I never ever like. You see so much cliche wedding stuff on Pinterest. I'm a self-professed Pinterest whore. Like everybody else
That's
is like
how I found your
going on. Yes, because I told someone to show it to you if they ever asked.
Best way to do that.
That's what you do. You put it on Pinterest and tell your friends, hey, if he or she asks, this is where you go to get my engagement ring.
There you go.
And I've never seen any of that kind of stuff on Pinterest. Like I loved the wedding. I thought it was just so inventive.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Same. I don't care about getting married and I don't care about love. But I adore weddings.
God damn it, that wedding.
Like love is gross, but weddings are awesome.
That is like if the wedding industry had a phrase, that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm like, don't know if and when I'm ever planning a wedding, but I'm stealing the like fireflies on a stick.
Yes,
and then they brought them to the party too, which was so great.
Yes.
Did they really? I didn't even notice.
Did. They brought them to the party and we're dancing them around.
I did not even notice
like
that.
just a couple people had them in like a group and they were just like dancing with them. And I was like, that's smart.
Right. I also, can we talk about the random choreographed dance number at the reception?
Right. Everyone turned into dancers for like 5 seconds.
Into dancers for like 5 seconds. It was very much like a choreographed thing.
Which happens at dances. I mean, at weddings.
At weddings, yes, it happens at weddings.
Usually,
like we choreographed stuff for
our first dance.
For our first dance, and we also did a choreographed dance for your brother Chris's wedding.
Right.
Oh.
So we
it's
have
true.
done
It happens.
that, but this was like professional level dancers, like getting out there. And I immediately was like, oh, well, if he did Step Up movies,
he did 2 Step Up movies.
2 Step Up movies.
He produced the 4th one and directed the 2nd and 3rd one.
So that makes a lot more sense.
I gotta get some Step Up in there.
Yeah, we got to step this movie up.
Well, I mean, and then also they stepped that up twice as hard with the final party where they had synchronized swimmers.
What was that?
Every engagement party needs synchronized swimmers, apparently.
It was so surprising. Like that was another thing. what? This is not something I would ever expect to happen.
But also, what is that club or hotel on top of 3 different buildings?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
Yes, it's the biggest. It's like the biggest building in the world. It's like the biggest building in the world. Maybe it's
Hotel,
definitely
maybe?
Construction,
the longest infinity pool in the world.
Wow.
Which is probably what they wanted to like show off, and they were like, I
Sure.
know, let's
Right.
put
This was
synchronized
like-
Let's just put a
swimmers in
This was
there.
tourism.
Synchronized swimmers.
This was tourism for Singapore. Like, I'm
Yes.
sure their tourism shot up 150%.
But like, yes, that is a
Yeah.
real place that you can go in Singapore, as is the market that they shot in, that food
Uh,
market.
that was my
Yeah.
first
Let's
rave
go there.
That was your
about the food that they
The
showcased.
food.
Oh,
E-
yeah.
Everything. I just wanted to eat everything in this movie.
Bless you.
Everything
Yes.
at the market that they were
Yeah.
eating, like, and it was a little weird because we're led to believe that some of the coronavirus started in an open market by someone eating a bat. I don't know.
We don't
And I was a little
man.
bit put off by the food at first, but then just the way they shot it and the way it was showcased, the you know, them hand making everything,
Yes.
it all just looked so delicious.
Yes.
So yes, I wanted
and
to
they
rave about
had
the food.
so
in
much
this movie.
food too. It wasn't just like, okay,
There was
let's
a
like
ton of it.
let's grab one like stick of it.
Yeah.
No, it was like
Should we
we're
be
gonna
bad?
Everything.
Yeah.
Should we be bad? Should we should we
Also,
get
too,
more?
did anyone else notice all of the comments about being thin? That was something. Oh Christ, on sale. This is
How
what
much is he
happened.
when he's on sale? There was one day where you just said that all the time, and I was like,
Yeah, it's
this
what
isn't new. This is new to me.
this is 30
This
30
is
gold
crazy.
pieces, silver pieces. How much was it? Oh,
It's really hard to
Lord.
hear. So I can hear it. It's hard to hear, but I know
Right.
that you guys are annoyed by it. It's easy. Yeah.
It's
I
very
just don't
loud.
understand.
Okay.
Okay,
there we
You
He's
want to
done.
rant about the car a little bit?
I
No, I'm just
do.
kidding.
It's this dude, like he's essentially running a really poorly organized used
Like
car
auto
lot
shop.
out of the back of his house.
Using the cul-de-sac as a parking lot for all of his
And
cars.
they're not good cars. They're
They
like
suck.
sad, beat down Windstar vans. Like they're not good cars.
Weird.
And he just every Tuesday he rotates them around so that they can't be towed. He's like, well, my Ford Taurus is about 6 feet further west than it was before, so you can't
It's
tag
true.
me.
It's true. Anyway, you wanted to talk about weight?
Wait, yes, there was all this commentary about like, oh, you're so skinny, you need to eat more food, and how skinny, and
To the
everybody
guys.
was
The guys
so-
too, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was so skinny, but I know that culture, in that culture, it is really important for people to be thin. That's something that they're almost, if I remember right, and absolutely, like listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. I am open to growing and making mistakes.
Yes.
But if I remember right, that's something that is just as permeating, if not more so, as in American culture, to be thin, like to be able to wrap your hand around all the way around your waist and be able to get it around the other side is like a whole thing. So like I thought it was interesting that everyone's like, oh, you need to eat more, you're too thin, when it seems like that culture is so focused on being thin. It was just a weird thing that I noticed. Was that just me, or
I didn't really notice it.
no?
I didn't notice it too much because it seemed like they were doing it mostly to the Nick,
Yeah.
and it was his aunties and his mom, and that was them being like, "You've been away too long."
Yeah, you need to eat more.
Oh,
Like it, and you need to be eating my food, and like
Right, like a home cooked meal.
I want, yeah.
I see.
It's some
I-
weird thing. I noticed this with mothers. I'm not gonna call out my mother, but I've noticed with mothers in general, they are so invested in diet culture, as we all are.
Yes.
Fat phobia is real,
Yes.
but there is an internal mechanism in them that wants to feed their children, right? It's
Yes.
like basic mom care 101, feed your kid, make sure they're alive.
Keep them alive.
And then diet culture gets on top of that and it's like, but don't get fat. And you're like,
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I want to spoil my child and feed them good, yummy foods, but don't eat those
Don't
good,
you
yummy
dare.
foods.
Right.
Too much of the yummy foods.
Right. I'm going to serve it to you. It's up to you not to eat it. But then if you
Right.
don't eat it, I'm going to
I'm
worry what's wrong.
Gonna
my
wonder what's
food.
happening.
Right. So Like, but for me, in this context of this movie, it did just seem like a jab from the moms and aunties being like, you haven't been around for us to feed you.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and like, take your shirt off more.
Right.
There's my rave.
Seriously, though, take your shirt off.
Like,
yes,
the
so
shirtless abs in this movie are not to be missed.
Yeah, they're off the chain.
They're off the chain.
Truly are. Truly, though.
Yeah. So
Truly.
loved that. I love that we
Speaking-
didn't get girls in there. We got some girls in bikinis, but they were like overtly. It was like we knew it was a. It was a part. It was like not a sex party.
It's a sex party. It's a swingers party.
A barge party, right? So like they were like the ditzy girl, the ditzy actress, like
yes,
those were who were dressing sexy. So it was like kind of, but like then the men got to be naked and the women were just in like fabulous frocks, and I was like here for it.
Yes. Yes.
My only other rave was Michelle Yeoh in this movie. If there's one reason just to watch such a deep, layered, nuanced performance, it's her. She's like Morticia Adams, but like not funny. But we talked a little bit earlier about not liking her, about how you should be afraid of this woman and everything like that. But I mentioned this to Megan last night. I feel like she rides that fine line of being like overbearing and like too involved in her children's life. But she also raises a lot of really good points of like, we build things that last, we focus on each other.
Right.
So there's also a lot of duty and a lot of responsibility that goes into what she does, especially when you find out that she was essentially in the same position that Rachel was in when she was young.
Right.
So she has a reason.
Have more compassion because of that.
Well, maybe because she just wanted to spare Rachel everything she went through, because she knows, she tells Rachel, you're never going to be good enough. So I'm trying to make you go away to spare you the lifetime of pain ahead, because GamGam is still alive and there's still all of this history from GamGam to Eleanor.
Are you calling her GamGam?
I don't know Mima's name in this movie.
Mama.
Amma. Oh, like the nun in Sister Act.
What?
Who's got the hearing aid? Amma?
I don't remember that at all.
Okay. Anyway, so I felt like she gave such an amazing performance that even if this is like a watch once and never again, like I would bill her like first. I was like, watch this movie for Michelle Yeoh. It also looks pretty and it's fun.
And I did want to, again, I know I talked about this already, but I did want to rave just like Awkwafina's family. Like, although her brother that just keeps taking pictures.
I was not okay
with not good with that.
At the end of the movie, I wanted to bring up that scene where like she's laying in bed with her mom and he's like back there taking pictures and she's like, how long have you been there? And he's like, what, not very long.
Not very long.
Yeah, they just started laughing at it
like,
and he's still taking pictures. I'm like, no, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. What is wrong with you?
And give me your phone. I also wanted to talk about how big the phones are in these movies.
I didn't notice
like,
that.
I have an iPhone 8S, but the phones in this movie are the size of my Kindle tablet. They are huge, especially the phone in the opening scene where the Asian girls are taking a picture of Nick.
Oh,
and they're like sending it all over the world.
Right.
And that's also something I was like, oh, is this real? Like, is this how like Asian families are involved in other Asian families and they know everything about each other? And that must be a nightmare. But
I mean, I would imagine it's the same as any other culture that is linked to one another through social media.
Or through money.
Yeah, social media and money. Like it's stuff that is quietly, discreetly, and quickly spread.
Yes.
I really liked that opening because it gave me an idea of why Nick keeps his life private. You know, like, yes, it was shitty that he lied to her.
Right.
Like, before getting on the plane, he should have been like, we're going to fly first class and we're going to meet my family who is really wealthy. But on the other hand,
did he lie though?
Omission.
Like, that's the thing. I'm like, did you think that we were just going to get on like first fucking class
like
and be
first
like,
class.
oh, no problem. Like, it's all good. I guess we're on this like level now.
Right.
And then what? I guess you're rich. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand why he didn't get ahead of that.
I
Right.
agree.
It felt like this trip was the trip to the wedding was like, instead of telling you about like my life and childhood for real, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna show it to you. Like, I don't want to talk about it. So instead, I'm just gonna bring you here.
Which is
That's
maybe another
so
messy part about the narrative is that he's been hiding
overwhelming.
all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to my best friend's wedding because I'm the best man and I want to take you along." But now I have to show you all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
why
had
omit that in the first place?
such
Anyway,
a big problem with Nick's character. I had so many problems.
I'm gonna
with
say it's
that.
flawed.
I'm gonna say it's flawed. I had issues with it. I took umbrage with it. I did not
Show me a
appreciate
perfect
it.
movie.
I don't. Moana, suck
Okay,
it.
there's Moana.
There's Moana.
We can talk about Moana forever,
amazing.
which we might have a bonus episode on Patreon just about Moana because
just because Molly and I want to talk about Moana.
we love it and
animated
someone
movie
in
with
our
the
life
round people.
doesn't,
Right.
and we have to talk about why they're wrong and we're right.
Right.
Like
exactly.
your mom watching Moana.
She
Bonus-
didn't like it.
Bonus content called "We're Right and You're Wrong."
Right. You are entitled to your
Bonus
wrong
content
opinion.
entitled "You'll Never Be Good Enough."
Yeah.
That's the voice in my head. So I think those were my main rants and raves. Was like, just like. Ugh.
I was just thinking, if the voice in your head says you're never good enough, is it easier to take if you imagine it's Michelle Yeoh saying there?
No, that's
Really?
worse.
Oh,
No,
Because
I'd be
she
like-
seems to know what's good enough.
yeah, she would
Exactly.
know.
I'd be like,
Maybe
I
if you
oddly
had that
believe you.
voice in your head, say it a little bit like, a goofy clown, like, you're never good enough. You're not doing a good job at anything. Would that be any easier? I feel like that would also be worse.
oh, yeah. I just think Michelle Yeoh telling me anything, even if it's a flaw that I have, like,
You'd be like, yes, ma'am.
yes,
Yes, of course,
You're
you're
totally right. I
I will do
everything you're
better.
saying.
Yes, ma'am. No.
So that's Rants and Raves. Thank you so much to our Patreon subscribers for listening and watching Rants and Raves. This is something you can get through a Patreon membership. So be sure to go to patreon.com/SIMAC podcast. Did I get that
That's
right?
right.
You did.
All
That was
right.
all off the cuff. Look at that.
I'm good with that.
We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
You-
That's all I wanted to hear. Maybe I'll be good enough someday.
You'll never be good enough.
So funny. My friend has written on a piece of paper in front of her toilet, "You're good enough." And
Oh.
Hey, and when you're on the toilet, that's what you want to
That
hear.
is,
Really-
yeah.
there are other affirmations other places, but I went and fed her cat the other day while she was out of town for the night, and I peed and was like,
Yes.
am I? And I was just like,
As I sit here on the toilet, am I?
am I? That's a good question to pose to our audience. Are you good enough?
Are you good enough?
You can-
Yes.
If you have any questions or concerns, you can email me at simacpod@gmail.com, and maybe I'll read off some things on
Right.
I'd love to hear that.
some things. Yeah. Email me.
All right.
That's it, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Well,